Welcome to the Power of Ladies podcast. I'm Kara Duffy, and today's guest is an incredible, powerful badass. Claudia Romo Edelman is an award-winning social entrepreneur. She's an activist, a speaker, the founder of We Are All Human, a nonprofit focusing on the advancement of the Latino community. She's a former United Nations official. She has worked with UNICEF to solve major world problems. She's the author of the Hispanic Star series of books. She's the co-host of A La Latina podcast. She's a Mexican-Swiss diplomat, speaks 5 or 6 languages, no big deal. She's an expert in the power of the Latino community for brand building and is now launching an ultra-premium, ultra-modern Mexican luxury spirit, Sotol, which has 1/3 the calories of tequila and is truly better for you. I could spend an hour listing all of the incredible things she's done. All that to say, hold on to your seats as she and I do dive into all the things. This woman knows how to create something from nothing, speak up, and take action to change the world. So let's listen and learn how. Welcome to the Powerful Ladies podcast.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Let's begin by telling everyone your name, where you are in the world, and as many of the things you're up to as you choose to share, because I feel like you're doing so much.
I'm Claudia Romo Edelman. I'm the founder and the CEO of a number of entities, from charitable organizations like the World Human Foundation and Hispanic Star and the Hispanic Star Initiative. I'm a podcaster and I'm an entrepreneur getting ready to launch my product in January.
It's all very exciting. And I feel like our conversation is so needed right now. I live in California, and it breaks my heart what's happening to the Latino community in California today. And I know it's not only a California thing, but it is such a huge part of our community, and it is just terrifying what's happening. How are you holding space for all the exciting things, all the good news, the growth, the progress that's happening, and the state of our world today?
Just to start with a statement that
Yes.
that you made, it is really hard to be a Latino today.
Mm-hmm.
It is incredibly contradictory at the same time, because Latinos, Hispanics, Latinx, whatever you want to call this gigantic community, has never been so strong, has never been so ready, has never been so powerful, has never contributed more to the growth of the U.S. Latinos really are powering and propelling the prosperity, power, and progress of the U.S., but we've never felt so solitos, so alone, so beaten up, so frightened. So like, in a way, I think that in this tension about not our identity, but about how we're not, like, recognized or valued, and how this group that should be, like, seen as contributors to the country are somehow being stereotyped, biased, and discriminated against as a whole. So I think that it's a very hard time, I think, when you think of the two things pulling you apart.
Mm-hmm.
And Latinos are 200% of a person, 100% Latino, 100% American. And I think that the work that my foundation has done for the last 7 years towards elevating Latinos has got to double down. This is the time to do it. And so how do I find the time? Well, look, I think that I'm an author, I'm a marketer, and I'm an entrepreneur. And I think that always thinking about how to do it in a way that is, like, being a win-win-win for everybody, like being an entrepreneur that has social first, being an author and a thought leader that is able to inspire, and at the same time, like, bring optimism to the people that are reading it. I truly believe that we need to have actually more hope right now,
Mm-hmm.
in the time where we are, and trying to do it in a way that is consistent with my values, which is, like, I'm family oriented. I want to be able to do it, but also be able to share it and spend time with the people that I love.
I think it's the women's plight right now of running full speed ahead with everything we had planned to do plus more. And at the same time, like over here dealing with the chaos that's happening. It's I was reading in preparation for this the report that I believe came out of Cannes recently about the power of the Hispanic population and how much they are influencing the economy, how much power they have, and they're still being ignored. As someone who is a pro DEI person, it's so frustrating to see how many brands are stepping back, even if they're not removing their DEI policies and practices, getting quiet about it, kind of taking a pause. But I think that we're missing the economic opportunity, if nothing else, that by ignoring all the people who are hungry and ready to be participating.
And you're referring to the Hispanic Sentiment Study 2025 that we launched at the Cannes Advertisement Festival that literally shows something that we've been growing, which is there's a new Latino. The Latino community has been maturing in our understanding of our own power. It's almost like we were thinking for the last couple of years, like, are we worth it? Are we really something? And now we know it. 2018 to 2025, the awareness of the Latino community of their own contributions to the country, of their own power, has grown from 14% to 77%. Can you imagine that? That is almost like less than 20% of Latinos were even aware how many we are, how young we are. We were living in the darkness. We had a distorted mirror, like a phenomena where we were looking at ourselves really tiny. And now it's almost like the lights are on and we're looking at the mirror properly and we're like, oh, wow, this is our true size. And so what happens when you start realizing that, says the Hispanic Sentiment Study, is that you turn around, but you don't see yourself represented or valued in media, in big corporations. So there's a disconnect between the true size and the value in which you're reflected. And that is causing something quite interesting, which is attention. Like there's a disconnect between the size of the community and the understanding of the community of its own power with how we see ourselves represented by people in power in all instances. So we're at the risk of a recession, but not an economic recession, a recognition recession where Latinos probably are going to start making choices. Latinos are going to say, like, wait a second. So I'm going to start making choices of where to work, where to buy, who to vote for, and who is going to be looking at us as what we are, right, in the true size that we are. So that was really interesting to see the reaction of brands that overall have seen something like artificial intelligence, that people were saying it's the future, it's going to generate growth, it's going to generate growth, and they didn't invest on it. And all of a sudden, it's just like a moment in which you have to catch up and course correct a lot. So I used a lot that analogy of saying, like, don't wait until the last minute, because you will have to probably do it. You will have to invest in this community because of the numbers.
Yeah.
But it's just going to come with a higher cost.
Well, and we've been seeing the wave of change happening, especially over the past 20 years, where to me I'm caught off guard as to, like, wait, why is this not just happening? Like everything from when they added in like the Latino Grammys, like there's so many things that have happened where it's like, of course this is a huge community. And then you have people like Bad Bunny saying, nope, I'm not going to tour in the US right now because, it's risky for my fans. And it's like, it's heartbreaking to see so much progress and then the split happening. But like you, I know that so many people are just continuing to do the work. If we go back to 8-year-old you, would she have imagined that this is the life that you are leading and this is, what you've taken on in the world?
Oh my God. So 8 years old, I remember actually that people mocked me because when I was 7, they said, what do you want for a birthday present? And I said, world peace. But like, and everybody was like, and I was like, I mean it.
Yeah.
I was always a little activist. I was always a little idealist. I believe that big ideas were possible to change. And luckily, I've been able to participate and witness dramatic, ambitious, crazy, wild dreams of humanity change, right? Like I've been witnessing how literally we were able to eliminate AIDS from the mother to child transmission. We've been able to halve extreme poverty from the world. So I do think that that 8-year-old girl thought change was possible, and I've been able to witness it. Whether I felt at that time that I was going to be able to be so close to so many incredible global dreams being able to be reality, I don't think so. But I'm super glad I am. And I'm super glad that I am so close to, like what I believe is going to be a historic change for my community, the Latino community. And what I never, ever, ever imagined is what I'm doing right now, entering the world as an entrepreneur, making change for Latinos, but from a different perspective, from a bottle, pretty much from a product.
Yeah. How has your perspective on what humanity is capable of doing and what's possible for yourself by being so close and involved in these big changes actually coming true?
So you see, Cara, if I may,
Yes, please.
a personal story. My parents were both basketball players, and they had 3 kids, and I was the middle one, and the older and the youngest, all of us, developed over fast. So the doctors were saying like, wow, this is so fast for them to start walking and then running and so on. So the 3 of us were way ahead. But my siblings stopped at 9 months and started going back. So from running to walking, crawling, sitting down until they died when they were 18 months old. So I didn't. And so my entire childhood, I was on a microscope, and everybody was looking and observing, when was I going to turn? When was I going to, like flip and go back? And I didn't. And so everybody was like, wow, you're so strong. And I remember actually people saying like, wow, you're stronger than that. And I grew up with the feeling that, well, I can do anything, right? Like everything is possible for me if I was able to do that. And then that combined with the sense and even a little bit of the guilt of everybody saying like, well, there must be a reason. You must have a mission and all these kind of things. I think that put you in a framework where I really believed that everything was possible because I saw that story. And so naturally I was gravitating towards people that had the same ideals, that had the same sense of like, let's go for the big guns here. And so I surrounded myself by dreamers and visionaries that didn't take no and always went to the power of yes. And so I learned that piece is not to be about optimist. It's not about optimism. It's a combination of optimism with perseverance, with grit, with like a plan that makes you a possibilist, I guess, and where you make things possible because you believe that it is possible. And I have a sense that once you're able to see life that way, a lot of the barriers that naturally you confront are easier to debunk or to see differently or to try to be resourceful in changing them. So I learned a ton from simply being attracted to people that maybe by training or by accident like me were thinking on the power of yes.
What's a yes that really left a mark on you? Was it something that you worked on? Was it another person? Like, what are some of those pivotal milestone yeses that are like, oh, we're going to go from a 1 to a 10?
I am a 0 to 1, not so much a 1 to a 10 or a 10 to 100, maybe a 0 to 1, 1 to 10, but not the other one. Like I'm a path breaker. I like starting things. I love challenges when they are sort of like unknown. Sotol, for example, the new thing that I'm doing is people know tequila, people know mezcal, but they don't know Sotol. And Sotol is the next big thing of Mexico that has been produced for over 800 years. It is by far more complex, sophisticated, and shelfy than any of the other cactus-based spirits that Mexico has, but no one knows it. So for me, that's an attractive challenge because I'm like, okay, we have to make it known. We have to mainstream it in half the time. If it took tequila 30 years and mezcal 15 years to get to the world, let's make this 5. So that, like, so how do you do it? And those are the kind of things that attract me. And so I think that this is one, like getting into the power of yes, to get into an entrepreneur, being an entrepreneur where I've never been an entrepreneur. I'm a woman in a very male-dominated industry. I have absolutely no background experience in alcohol. So all of the no's that you can see, and everybody that I talked to for the last 3 years say like, I have a family business, but we never really did anything with it. It's more like a hobby. Should I turn it into something big? No, that's crazy. No, that's like the amount of time. So I said yes, and I'm launching in January, and I partner with the third largest tequila company in the world in ultra premium that are respectful to Mexico and have the same values that I have, and they grow, but they grow with the, like we grow with a soul.
Yeah.
And so I'm saying the power of yes to getting and being able to raise money for the first time in my life and being able to do it in record time, because I think that people see what I see, that if, like this is unknown and it's an uphill battle, but if we hit it right, we're going to hit it big. And so that's the piece where I feel it's my last power of yes, like let's lean into it. And luckily I'm not doing it alone, because all the investors that I have and the companies that are surrounding me to do this are as crazy possibilistic as I am.
I love this, and welcome to the entrepreneur side. It's the best side. I spend so much time coaching my clients about just believing that all of it is possible. All of it is. And, choosing to play the game of yes versus the game of why it's going to be hard, why it's going to be difficult, why it won't work. And part of why I love interviewing incredible guests like yourself on this podcast is that there are so many examples of why we don't just believe in the possibility. We don't just say yes. And I can hear your enthusiasm and your enrollment of like, of course people said yes. And of course you've raised your money in record time. Like that's how you operate, right? Like none of that surprises me coming from you. So it's like, and you also said something so important. And I think this is where so many businesses are missing out on such an opportunity, is making sure the soul of the business and the company is the North Star. It stays there. It doesn't get overtaken by operations or sales or going for the quick win that isn't aligned with like why it was created. How would you describe to other people what the soul of your company is?
I mean, like I've been a social entrepreneur my entire life, so I couldn't do it otherwise. I don't know how to do it otherwise.
Yeah.
Like I would have to learn how to not to. But for example, by choosing this company to partner with, CKBG, there's so many examples and lessons learned from the things you should not do, like companies that very famous companies that sold for $1 billion and are like the beast, but they came and destroyed my country. They came and like agave takes 7 years to grow. And it's only natural to think that if you cut it all, the people that will live in those areas are going to have nothing to do. Like entire livelihoods and communities were destroyed by the exploitation with no sustainability plans in mind. And kids had to drop from school and move into different villages because they had nothing for 7 years left, right? Like they had to like wait until they came back. And then, like for me, for example, by definition, by partnering with Tequila Comos, which is my joint ventures with them, these guys with the fiber that is left of the agave through which they produce tequila, they build bricks, and through bricks they build schools, and they stay in the communities where they operate by enriching them. And I not only plan to take on that practice of like building in the communities and making sure that you're responsible, but I plan to do it also with the people that serve it, right? Like you said, so many of the Latino community in the US is at the front lines, whether we're in the hospitality industries, we're like probably all the waiters that you find, all the bartenders and heads of beverage and food in restaurants. And I'm obviously going to be talking to them about this is a Latina-led product that is, like using portion of that to give to the communities here where we operate so that we can actually shine and be better off. And obviously I'm counting on every time now that I go to a restaurant or, like to a place, the people that recognize me because of the work that I've been doing as activists are already like, please, thank you. Don't pay the bill. Like, we love stop going. So I'm counting on that support of my base to make a choice for me and say, like, if I have to choose between one product or another, I'm obviously going to serve the one of a Latina and someone that has a heart and that is, like that is giving back. So I think that it is ingrained in the business model already of what I think it is a total, not only an investment, but it's a total central part of the story of the product and myself.
For somebody who is contemplating leaving corporate life to go all in on activism, what advice would you give them?
So, like leaving corporate life to going entrepreneur is the step that I know best because I have a podcast called A La Latina, the playbook to succeed being your authentic self. And Carola, you being a podcaster, it gives you an opportunity to meet so many incredible people. Even my MBA, it inspired me to actually jump into the entrepreneurship world. But I shared a lot of people that were, and we only interview Fortune 500 companies, C-suite Latinas. So it's very restricted to that successful group if you want. Talk about how to make it and have the time and have the bruises. What's the playbook? How do you build the networks that you need to operate and be there? And so I think that the jump between corporate, first of all, you need to master being in a corporate environment so that you can feel that you have control. I think that that's what I heard a lot. But I have to say, a lot of people, maybe not the people that I interviewed on the podcast, but a lot of people have considered more freedom, more flexibility, more fulfillment of something that you can control a bit more. And so going into an entrepreneurship, and if you're interested in activism and social entrepreneurship, it is harder than anything that you can imagine. Social change is harder than a business by 100x, right? Like you're talking about behavior, you're talking about systemic barriers, things that are so entrenched. Like poverty is not a product that you can sell through marketing and right pricing. It takes generations and years. So moving from corporate to social entrepreneurship, it's a good decision that you have to consider. Now, moving to activism, I think it is easier because you just need your voice. You can still be working in corporate America. You can still be an entrepreneur and activate your voice. As a fact, I have a calling for Latinos saying, like, you don't have to be an activist like me, but become a factivist. Use the fact to elevate the data so that we're not surrounded by stereotypes, so that we can bust through stories all those biases that people might have, unconscious biases that people form themselves. Let's actually be a activist so that you know a little more on how to address the fears of others, right? Like honestly, no one means to be mean, but if you have a bias, unconscious bias about like an accent, someone has an accent and you don't think about it too much, but unconsciously you think, oh, that person is less intelligent, right? Like because an accent is no neutral accent is associated with intelligence. And so naturally you might think that having an accent is a lack of intelligence. And you as a factivist can just correct that stereotype and say like, no, it's actually a sign of two languages. It's bilingualism. It's not intelligence, it's bilingualism. And that means many other things, that I can talk to different groups, that if I am in a corporate environment, I can negotiate, that probably I can be good at international settings, and that I have an adaptability because I'm using both sides of my brain a lot, be unshakable. So it's having that generosity of the knowledge and the information that can help you become a better activist, one that is respectful as well of the feelings of the others.
Speaking of languages, was I correct in my research that you speak like 5 or 6?
I speak 6 languages, yeah.
Yes. And what are the 6?
So it's a little on the easy side because I speak all the Latin languages. So the ones I learned Latin, and I think that through that Spanish, Portuguese, Italian, and French. And I speak more or less English and German.
Yeah. I think it's fascinating. I am always in disbelief, having lived abroad and traveled quite often, that I'm so envious of, the 5-year-olds that's growing up with parents from 2 different countries. They're already a full, trilingual person, and they're 5. And I'm like, that's such an advantage in our world today. And even when we're translating stories and novels and concepts, it doesn't always get to the 100% understanding of the original context. And I wish more people in the US in particular were speaking more languages, because it gives you, your community gets to double in size every time that you do.
Like the amount of people that are learning Espanol.
Yeah.
Duolingo is like choo-choo. Even Latinos, our study shows how the intake of language has been increasing dramatically over the last 8 years. For example, it's not only Americans that are learning Spanish, it's Latinos that were like over 45 to 50 that were taught by their parents to assimilate, because it was easier for them to like pass along and fly low, and therefore be able to get promoted better. And those people are having a retro Latinidad. They are reclaiming their Latinidad, and they're going back to their roots, because they are like, wait, this is also part of me. And there's a better chance in the country now to understand that having two languages is an advantage. And so I love to see that rise in the language intake. 55 million Americans speak Spanish. 80% of the Latino population is bilingual. And it is so quite interesting. My husband, for example, started doing Duolingo 2 months ago, and it is the cutest thing for me. Like on day 2 that he started taking Duolingo, he sat me down and he was like, "Okay, so now you have to talk to me more in Spanish so that I can learn more." And my first phrase that I said, it was like, I don't know why I said that phrase, but I said it is "estoy cansada," which means I'm tired.
Yeah.
I said, "Estoy cansada." And he said, like, "Steak and salad?" And I'm like, no, go back to for me more. Not chicken.
Well, I'm so glad you brought up Estoy, because I believe that the English language and the mental health crisis right now is limiting people's ability to separate themselves from their feelings. And I wish that we had the soy estoy option in English language, because it changes when something is temporary versus permanent in our identities, in how we judge ourselves. And so I'm rooting for estoy to come into English in some capacity, because I think it's a missed opportunity in our language for us to mental health, confidence, all of the things. It's one of my biggest arguments against.
And honestly, I think that is where language plays a role in just building bridges of tolerance and acceptance so much in this country and everywhere in the world. I created the World Human Foundation 10 years ago, having that worry, that concern in my head that we were forgetting that we belong to the same human family, that we think that what happens to one group doesn't affect the other, as in, if you cut your hand, the likelihood is you're going to have a headache. Everything is interconnected. And we just have to constantly remind ourselves that despite so many things that we think are differences, we're more connected than not. We are a part of the same human family, and we need to exercise that muscle, tolerance and acceptance. And I really wish that in a world with so much scientific and technological advances, we're able to do a little bit more than I tolerate. But tolerance would be already enough. See all the things that are happening, all the disgraces that we're going through, all the shootings that we're experiencing in the country, all the fear that so many communities are facing. I don't want to go along in a podcast like yours with so many powerful ladies without reminding us that every one of us has agency to build a bridge, to get close to someone, like get across to someone, and just like start getting closer on that very divided bridge in which we are right now. I hope that it doesn't get any wider.
Speaking to the women on the podcast who are guests and to our community is the brightest, shiniest light that I'm privileged to get access to, because there's no one in this community who would disagree with your statement. Like, everyone's trying in their household, in their neighborhood, on their street, however big their scope goes, to remind everyone that how similar we actually are. And it's frustrating and heartbreaking that is the conversation when you know how many bigger problems there are that we should be focusing on. Like, There's so many things that we could be fixing and working on that could dramatically improve so many lives. And the number of distractions we have right now that are created almost out of thin air is so frustrating. One of the definitions that I was given about you is that you are a global mobilization expert. I mean, I read that sentence and I was like, yes. So there are so many people who feel like they don't know how to get their idea going. They don't know how to get a community around a concept they believe in. What are some tips you would give people on mobilizing, whether it's at a community or a global level?
I'm a marketer. And so my background and my expertise is into putting master plans that simplify and are able to, if you want, synthesize the feeling of many people towards an action plan. So if we're all feeling very frustrated, what are we going to do about it? We are all feeling sad and lonely. What are we going to do about it? If we're all feeling that there's AIDS, this person in the world, how are we going to fix it? I was able to recognize very early on my calling or my strength, if you want. I was not able to recognize some others early on that I wish I did, but this one I knew that I had a voice and that every time I used it, people followed. So I've been able to craft and polish these by creating these frameworks, campaigns, if you want, that are able to attract people to follow so that we can mobilize the hearts and minds of others to follow, and so that we're able to be enough to generate change. And so I would say to be able to dream of something big that you have, to try to do it with many. Trying like individual efforts only get you so far. It is the power of the collective that really pushed the needle forward. If I think of the Latino community and the World Human Foundation with Hispanic Star, doing it alone would have been incredibly frustrating. So I tried to gather as many leaders as possible to believe that we could change the perception of Latinos if we put ourselves into sharing the same data, into sharing the same stories, and to having a common narrative, and to be very intentional about putting content out there and to reaching to other communities to demonstrate who we are. And we have a community of more than 250,000 people that are using the same voice, and we're able to bring more than 350 companies along. And I think that that's the power when you start mobilizing, which is I have an expertise on that area. For many other people, they have different areas of expertise to tap into. I'm a marketer. I look at data, I look at story, I look at content, and I look at community building, and I move forward. That's what I've been trying to do with the Latino community in the last 8 years. I think that it is time for Latinos to start, now that we not only know the data, but absorb it, that we were able to internalize it. I think that now we have to mobilize towards non-Latinos. Latinos United should mobilize towards non-Latinos. It was the first 7 years were about Latinos, now it's about non-Latinos. And I think that for people like you with your powerful ladies, they're powerful because they have agency, and looking at every step counts towards moving your world towards the place where you want it to be, and following your dreams, even they are like as crazy as they sound. I mean, like when I started looking at Sotol, everybody was like, this is the craziest thing ever. No one knows Sotol. So no one knows, but they will.
They will.
And they heard it at Carol.
I mean, nothing gets me more excited than when people start telling me my idea is crazy. Because I'm like, okay, if it's crazy, that gives me more confidence. Let's go. If there's something about, if you are someone who are comfortable going into a space that other people are nervous to go into, it's an automatic boost of power and access and being in that kind of first mover space. So it's when people give me that feedback, I get more excited and more confident to go forward. You mentioned that powerful women have agency. How else would you define what a powerful lady is to you?
So it's so interesting because I think that in my community, even though they are powerful, we have stigma towards power. Yeah, so we don't take it as much as men. Men are less powerful in title, less powerful in money, less powerful in influence, and they take it. And they're like, I'm powerful because I say so, I feel so, and I want to believe it and something. So I think that um, the level of our own adoption to our own power is still something that I would encourage at least Latinas to be able not to think that being powerful means being either evil or negative or lonely, or that you're going to neglect your family or any of the other pieces. Just like that you have agency and control over your life, and that you have some tools, tips and tricks that you have been able to, like to use it, and that you're going to find a tribe that will, like elevate you and encourage you to keep moving in the same way. So I think that powerful ladies are everyone that has, like a calling, and that is ambitious and is ready to grow.
When you look at your journey, who are some people who have been key influences in getting you to where you are today?
So my mom was incredible for me because she was crazy. I mean, like, she was born a basketball player. Like, I'm 6 foot tall. My mother was 6 foot tall, like many years ago in Mexico when no one was that age. And so she was part of the national team. She played for the national team of Mexico when she had us. She went and became an economist, study economy, and then became an economist and was quite successful about it. And all of a sudden dropped it because she wanted to become an actress when she was 45. And everybody told her, like, that's crazy, that is risky, that is irresponsible being a single mother with your daughter. And she did it anyways. I mean, and honestly, it was really hard because sometimes, some days we didn't have anything to eat. I mean, like some seasons she didn't have theater, she didn't have novelas, soap operas. And so it was quite hard. And the actors and the dancers were feeding me on the theater. But I saw my mom determined to take the decisions of her life. It's not that she was fearless, of course not. She was panicking, but she was fear free. And I think that that's a lesson that I took from her, that, like at the end of the day, when you give up your power toward something like fear, then you're never going to be in control. And that's what I meant about power. My mom was powerful because she was in control of her own decisions, as frightening, as, as scary as they were, as wrong as they were sometimes. And so I think that she is and has been an incredible influence in my life, someone that I owe everything that I am.
I really like that distinction of it's not about being fearless, it's about being fear-free. It gives such a nice distinction between the way that we go into the world or not, because there's no, I can't imagine not having the fear. It's like, what do you do with it anyway?
Absolutely. And I think that when we were talking about the powerful ladies, it's interesting how it's sometimes we give so much power to external narratives to let us believe or not if we're powerful or not, right? Like on how much do we want it. And so my father was a civil engineer. He built highways in Mexico. And so he would take me with him to be his co-pilot because there was no navigation tools. So there were the maps, and I was quite good at them at the origami. And so I was like, to the right, to the left, I'm building it, and so on. And so he was like, Misha, you're so good. I'll take you to my next trip. And always he told me I was a good co-pilot. And literally 5 years ago, I looked up my resume and I was like, oh my God, I've been a co-pilot, the right hand of someone my entire life. Like my father, without intention, put on me. He gave me a role in life. You're good as a co-pilot. And without even thinking about it, I absorbed it and took it as my reality. And when I wanted to create my own foundation, I wanted to be the pilot of my own community. I didn't know how to, and I was petrified because that was not the role that I was told to be. And in a country and in a world where women are not supposed to be leaders and powerful, we have to be able to say, like, wait a second. So I want to take the, like, if I want to be a pilot, I will be one. And it was really hard for me to jump from the United Nations to set up my own foundation and to, like right now I'm doing another change with this entrepreneurship venture. But I think that that's something to think about, like how much the narratives that are external are driving you and how important it is to bring them to conscious so that you can take them, heal them, give them back with love or whatever.
No, it's so true. And we don't realize how many layers of stories we've kind of stepped into without ever choosing them for ourselves. Even definitions of responsible or smart. Like we don't ever declare ourselves those things. Other people tell us that we are, and we're like, oh, okay, I'll put that in my backpack. No problem. It's a radical act to get to redefine like what you are actually going to be to yourself and to the world versus what you've been told or feel like we've been given permission to do. It's I think courageous is such a part of being in the powerful lady space, because every day sometimes we have to choose courageous acts, big and small. And I'm such a proponent of allowing people to be in their zone of genius and to be in their full light, because that's where we need as many people as possible to be in. And that's never a relaxed, easy space to hang out in. What are some rituals or habits that you rely on to stay at your best so you can do all of these things that you're up to and keep creating more?
I believe in routines, and I feel anchored for things that I know are going to happen that give me certainty. Like I wake up and I exercise, and I wake up at the same time every day. And then the first thing I do, and the second thing I do, and the third thing I do. And then I have sort of like a routine or traditions or things that I can, again, be anchored in. And then I'm hyper organized. I try to live on the 80-20. So I over plan, and I sort of like plan 80%, and then the 20% I leave for free. I ate well, 80%, 20% free. And like I like that idea of being able to have a space of freedom that is controlled, and sometimes feel that I'm doing far too much. And then I, like try to backpack. It's always a juggle. There's no woman that I know that doesn't have, like a sense of like, okay, so today I'm going to be very good as a mother, and tomorrow I'm going to be very good as an entrepreneur. And it doesn't have to be all at the same time. I'm not sure I'm going to try to juggle it and do it the best I can. But I do think that it is, particularly coming to an age, it is important to try to put things into perspective as much as you can, and remember that, like there's not only one single thing that should define you, but the combination of things that make you who you are.
We asked everyone on the podcast where they put themselves on the powerful lady scale. If 0 is an average everyday human and 10 is the most powerful lady you can imagine, where would you rank yourself today and on an average day?
I would consider myself high up on the power, on the intensity, on the energy, and on the determination and dedication that I put into things. I think that it is a very different question if you ask me how much am I recognized as a powerful woman, that I wouldn't want to put myself too high up there, because there's a lot more that want to be recognized and more. But at least in the effort that I put myself into getting to the places I want to be, very close to.
Yeah. This is also a very connected, supportive community. What is something on your to-do list, to manifest list, wish list? What can we help you either hold space for or make happen in the world?
Thank you so much for that question. I love it so much. Okay, so look, on the Latino front, on the philanthropy piece that I have for the foundation, please become an ally. Get into our space, learn some data about Latinos, and use it to become a little bit of factivist. Try to correct someone that is saying things that sound like stereotypes, and say like, wait, did you see all Latinos are undocumented? Let me tell you, it's all, like it's 90% are documented. Like, become a factivist and an ally. And if you want to support the work that we're doing, there are several ways to do it. We have a gala, we have, we have donations, so just like stand with us. This is a hard moment, and I appreciate it dramatically from, from groups outside of ours. So thank you. World Human and Hispanic Star. When it comes to my new venture, well, like Sotol is going to come out at the beginning of the year. We're close in the round, our investor round. Otherwise, I would have said it. Our investor round is close, but I'm super happy that it's 40% women.
Wow.
It's 40% women. And so because this drink has 1/3 of the calories of tequila and is gonna be like a woman-led initiative, I hope that you can order it, drink it, promote it, do parties with me or whatever you want when Sotol Romo comes out to market.
I love that. Well, for everybody who wants to find you, follow you, support you, join in all the things you just mentioned, where should we send them?
Claudia Romo Edelman. I'm everywhere. Wherever you try to find me, that's my handle. So see you LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, whatever you use.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I am so impressed by what you're doing. Thank you for inspiring me today. It has been one of those weeks where it has been a lot. And to get here today on a Friday and to get to have this conversation, I feel all ready to go and kick some butt the rest of the day. So thank you so much for being a yes to me and to Powerful Ladies.
Thank you so very much, Carrie. It was a true pleasure. Honestly, amazing.
Thanks for listening to the Powerful Ladies podcast. If you enjoyed this conversation, please subscribe, leave us a review, or share it with a friend. Head to thepowerfulladies.com, where you can find all the links to connect with today's guest, show notes, discover episodes, enjoy bonus content, and more. We'll be back next week with a brand new episode and new amazing guest. Make sure you're following us on Instagram or Substack at Powerful Ladies to get the first preview of next week's episode. You can find me and all my socials at caraduffy.com. This is a Powerful Ladies production produced by Jordan Duffy and Amanda Cass. Until then, I hope you're taking on being powerful in your life. Go be awesome and up to something you love.